Hey guys, today we're going to learn about hypothermia. Hypothermia happens when your body loses its temperature faster than it can produce it. It is crucial to know these symptoms of hypothermia because in an emergent situation, it can help to prevent the symptoms from getting too far. Now, I would like you guys to have a piece of paper and writing utensils. So here you go. Now I'm going to start this timer, and this timer is going to be for 3 minutes, and I want you both to brainstorm as many ideas as possible in this 3 minutes. Okay? I'll tell you when, guys. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. 3 minutes, counting down. You got this. I'll write it for you. Just whisper it into my ear. Okay, guys, final seconds. You got this. There we go. So, guys, what did we learn here, or what would you guys write down? Let's group. What'd you say?
Feeling cold.
Did you write that down? Yeah. Keep on going.
Your breathing is slowing down.
Mm.
Maybe like sneezing. Maybe like you can't feel some of your body parts.
Oh yeah.
Like numbness and stuff. Maybe some like faint pulse, or like a slurred speech,
Yeah.
like drowsiness.
Yeah. Those are all very good points. What did you say, Baby Yoda? Shortness of breath. Yeah. Slow pulse. Shortness of. You already wrote that down, buddy. It's okay though. Drowsiness, loss of consciousness, yes, and confusion. I think those are all great ideas here, guys. So now let's go over some important symptoms that we should all know by heart. So shivering is one. It's one very important one. Slurred speech, confusion, slow or shallow breathing, weak pulse. So if you're dealing with them and you feel their pulse and it's weak, then it's probably hypothermia. And loss of consciousness, and they're really cold or pale, then you know that they're having hypothermia. And I think that we all have a good understanding of this. So let's move on to the next activity, guys. Okay, so in our next activity here, we're going to learn about some hypothermia treatment aids. In this pile of items, there are items or there are aids that will either help, or there's aids that will not help or even worsen the condition of the person that you try to put it on or help them with. So why don't you guys take a look at them and decide which ones are good and which ones are bad, and I will explain while you guys are looking through them why they're good and why they're bad.
Well, Yoda, what do you think? This hat would probably help heat up their head, and the head
Yes.
usually is good for heat.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Wearing a toque is a very important thing because most heat loss comes from your head and your feet. So if you cover both of them, or even just one, it's great.
So socks are good too?
Yes.
Let's see. We've got ourselves a hair dryer. I think that would be pretty good if you have it on a good heat, but I don't think you'd want it too hot. What do you think?
So if you have it too hot, it can cause them to maybe even get burns or to worsen their condition because they go into shock.
Alright, what's the kettle represent?
The kettle is for heating water up. So if you put like warm water on parts of their body that maybe increase the body temperature faster than others, then it can help. But don't place the kettle on top of them like directly, because then that could burn them or.
And what about like tea?
Yes, tea or just making them drink warm water could also help.
But you don't want it too hot.
Not too hot.
Alright. Oh, this is a damp towel. I don't think a damp towel would be good because it'd probably get cold.
Yeah, it wouldn't allow their skin, or it would make their skin colder, and if there was wind chill, it would be really bad.
So then you'd probably want a towel, then that'd be good because then it can dry them off so they don't get colder.
Yeah. Yes, that's also a good point there.
We got some alcohol. I don't know. Alcohol usually will help, but I think it might just make it colder.
Well, see, if we use alcohol, it actually doesn't help, and it increases the heat loss in the person. So never use alcohol when trying to treat someone with hypothermia.
It looks like finally we got a blanket here, which looks pretty soft, cozy, and warm, which I'd imagine would do good.
Yes, because you want them warm, and the first priority is to get them warm if they're having hypothermia. So, guys, I think that was great. You guys learned what was good and what was bad, or what were good treatments and what were bad treatments. So,
What about like a fireplace?
so if we were to use a fireplace, it could maybe even burn the person or heat them up too much and put them into shock. And another maybe even aid would be skin to skin contact. So if like the person is having hypothermia and you try to warm them by like hugging them or something like that, then that's really good. But and also if you put them into like a really hot bathtub, it's really bad. So make sure never to do that because then they can go into shock. And
So what I'm understanding is if it's too hot, it could actually
It
change
could.
their temperature too high. Alright.
or even just like the temperature change from really cold to really hot can put them into shock and can worsen the condition. Okay, let's move on to the next activity, guys.
Sounds good.
So, guys, for a final activity, we're gonna learn how to help someone with hypothermia. So, can we have a volunteer for this? Oh, Baby Yoda, you want to come? Okay. So, why don't you be right here? So, first thing, so imagine we find Baby Yoda on the ground here. First thing we want to do is make sure that Baby Yoda is responsive so that he's be able to respond. So you want to try to like talk, try to wake him up. Now we want to try to move Baby Yoda to a warm environment that is either sheltered or maybe has like a fire in the background so that warmth can go to Baby Yoda. Now when we've moved him, so we moved him over here into a warm area, we want to remove anything that's maybe wet or wet clothing. So imagine this sweater was wet, so we want to remove it carefully and gently so that it doesn't hurt Baby Yoda, and move it to an area that can dry. Now that Baby Yoda doesn't have any wet clothing on, we want what? Yes, that's true. We want to dry Baby Yoda off if he's wet, so we can try to dry him off, and then so then now he's dry, and then now we will try to warm him up with towels and body heat, so that he doesn't go into shock. And then after this, you can either call, or if he goes unresponsive at any point, you can call EMS so that there's emergency services come, and then they can take care of him. Or if he's showing that he's getting better, then
What if they can't get there in time?
then you just have to go through the steps and hope that this is enough to keep him warm. And then, so now, is there any steps? Well, thank you for being a volunteer. So, is there any steps that you guys thought of that were interesting or that were more important than the others?
I think it was important to take off his wet clothes.
Yes, important to take off the wet clothes. That's really important. What's one more? Just one more.
I think we should put a hat on him because that's a pretty good
Yes,
point.
so after, to make sure that he doesn't get hypothermia again, then yeah, sure, apply a hat. So some important takeaways from this lesson is that if you see someone, make sure to respond as fast as possible so that they don't die. And then when you do go to them, make sure that you move them to a warmer area. Make sure that you remove clothing that it might be wet, and then keep them warm, or make them warmer with different objects, like we explained in the last activity. And then, but don't do it too quickly. For example, if you want to put them into a bathtub, it wouldn't be a good idea. It would make him go into shock. It wouldn't be good. So, yeah.
And what if he goes unconscious?
Then you would want to call EMS as quickly as possible and start CPR, basically. Okay?
CPR.
So, that's it for this lesson. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Yay!